Stockbridge, Georgia. We're wanting to introduce you to the amazing breweries that Georgia has to offer. Today we're visiting Eventide. I'm talking right now to CEO and co-founder Nathan Cowan. Hi Nathan, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do here.
Well, thanks for coming out and supporting local craft breweries. I think that's a big project. It's really awesome. There's a lot of good ones here. So my name is Nathan, as you said. I'm CEO, co-founder. That pretty much means, we're kind of like a submarine here. Everybody has to do everybody's job. Primarily, I try to focus on just keeping the books and keeping everything running smooth at Eventide, and then I sub in where needed as far as for the production side of things. Primarily, what I look at is like the future growth of where our company's going, and making sure all of their departments are sort of working together towards that goal.
Well, I know you started off as a home brewer. How did that evolve into being a brewery?
Well, it was a lot of one foot in front of the other kind of thing. So myself and Jeffrey Williams, we started home brewing, a number of years ago now. And it was his passion. Like he came to me one day, we were drinking Bell's Two Hearted Ale. He said, I really love craft beer, and I'd never had really craft beer at the time. He's like, I just wish there's a few things I'd like to, I'd like to be able to make it, and a few things I'd like to be able to do to it. And he's got a real good palate for beer and for food in general. And so I said, well, somebody made this, we can obviously, we should be able to make it. And so we started brewing beer, and after the first couple of batches, we knew it was something we really enjoyed doing. And so we wanted to get more sophisticated with it, and we just sort of grew from there. We went to all grain brews, and then after a while, we got pretty good at making beer, and then we decided, we thought to ourselves, this is kind of fun, like it'd be cool if we could, do it for a living. I wonder what it would take to make beer and sell it. In the state of Georgia, that's a lot, so evidently. But since then, it's just been one foot in front of the other, and it's never really lost any steam.
Well, I know the word eventide is an old English phrase, and it means twilight or evening. How did you decide that would be your name of your brewery?
Well, it just sort of happened to us. We used to meet one day a week, and and I say we, because after Jeffrey and I kind of got the beer stuff figured out, we realized we kind of wanted to see what it would take to make it a company, but we knew we didn't know anything at all about sales. We didn't know anything at all about marketing. We had sort of the business aspect of it pinned down, and we had the production aspect of it pinned down, but we were lacking on those other two fronts. So my wife Haley has a big background in sales, and so she sort of filled that sales position, and our friend Matthew Sweezy has a big background in marketing, so he sort of filled that marketing position. But this sort of put us in a predicament because we're all very different. We have different interests and different passions, and so it was really hard for us to settle on a name. And we didn't start one day if I ever have a brewery, I'm going to have it named this, right? So we were really at a loss, and so week after week after week, we would bring this conversation back up again. We need to pick a name. We need to start, honing in on it. And so we'd have a big list of names, and everybody's sort of like, this is my favorite name, and this is what it means, and the other three people would be like, eh. But eventually, Eventide got on the table, and my wife found that name somewhere, and it met all of our criteria, which we had many by that point. It was the right number of letters, the right length down the alphabet, all this stuff. But where it really resonated, caught fire with us, is we're meeting every day at the end of the day, when the day is winding down, and you're transitioning into night, and that's Eventide. And so the fact that we all were meeting and working on this project together at Eventide, it really resonated for us, and it sort of became something a little bit more for us. It means when do you find that time in your life that you can relax and work on the things that are most important to you, and what you get up in the morning for, what you get out of bed for every day.
Well, when was Eventide founded?
So it's kind of a multi-step process, because getting a brewery off the ground in the state of Georgia is sort of an ordeal. We founded officially the company in 2011, December 21st. But that's just on paper, so you can start doing the licensors and everything like that. We started production at our facility November 3rd, 2013, and we launched to the market January 7th, 2014. I remember those dates well because they're pretty big milestones for us.
What was the first beer you brewed here?
I believe it was the Pale Ale. We went to the market with the Pale Ale, the Kolsch, and the Dry Irish Stout. So I think the first one we brewed here was a Pale Ale, but I need to look that up to be sure. But I'm pretty sure that was it. I remember it was a 23-hour brew day, our first brew day. I do remember that. And we thought, oh man, what have we gotten ourselves into? We're down to 12. So.
Yeah, well that's good. That's good. Well, what's your favorite Eventide beer?
Oh, I would say it's probably the Dry Irish Stout. It's a more complex beer. It takes a lot more to make it. It's got a lot of levels of taste to it and of complexity in the manufacturing process. And I love the beer for its taste, but I also appreciate it for its. I would say out of all the beers we make, that's probably the one that's more closely related to a work of art than our other beers are beer, but this is like beer and a masterpiece all wrapped up in it.
Personally, I'm liking the Kolsch. How many beers do you offer year-round, and what are they?
Year-round, so we have 3 year-round core styles. That's the Kolsch, Pale Ale, and the Dry Irish Stout. We're looking at expanding that by one more style, which will be an IPA early next year. That's still sort of in the works, but that's the plan. So we have those all the time. To augment our profile, we sort of switch it up seasonally from in the spring and summer lighter varieties like Hefeweizens or things of that nature, and then in the fall we have more malt forward, heavier beers. So right now we have in the market Red-Headed Haley and the Highlander, which is a wee heavy Scotch ale. We're going to transition Red-Headed Haley out later once it starts getting a little bit more towards winter and bring in our Baltic Porter Kattegat. That's a little bit higher ABV, it's that same malt profile. And then in the spring we'll switch back to like a Hefeweizen or maybe launch a new spring seasonal. So at any given time, we usually have about 4 or 5 beers in the market. We have a big list of beers to pick from. Not all of those made it to market yet, and that list grows all the time because every Thursday we do small batch production. Just what got us started in this, and we order a lot of ingredients from you guys actually, and then we do just small batch stuff. It gives us opportunity for our brewers to sort of flex their muscles and try things they've been thinking about. It also gives us opportunity to engage with other departments that don't brew beer. They just do stuff that's peripheral to the beer, and they get involved. And then every Thursday we have we'll tap one of those casks and see how it turned out, or kegs, and to see how it turned out. So it's always fun. It's always a little bit apprehensive, but most of the time it's good.
Well, where do you see Eventide in the next couple of years?
In the next couple of years, so we're going to outgrow this facility in the next couple of years. We do have some plans in place that we're looking at expanding. It's really early in that process, so I can't really speak to the details. So in the next couple of years, it's probably going to be a lot of work for us. I see us here, and I see us possibly somewhere else at the same time.
Well, you brought your wife up, Haley, earlier. I just wanted to mention I'm a home brewer as well as I work in the craft beer industry. She is definitely an inspiration to the women who are growing in this industry. So I just wanted to bring kudos to that real quick.
She would definitely appreciate it. She's a hard worker.
What advice would you give maybe anybody who's doing this as a hobby right now and maybe want to see about expanding? Just words of wisdom?
Oh, as far as brewing for a hobby, it's a great adventure, but it is an absolute adventure, meaning it has surprises at every turn. It's something we talk about like every week. We don't know what's going to happen this week. There's going to be somebody's going to pop out of woodworks. And it could be anything from the Department of Labor changing their labor laws, which affects everybody, to something that's just beer specific. And if y'all follow anything in the alcohol industry in Georgia, you know what kind of a roller coaster that's been for the last couple of years. So it's a lot of fun. I definitely would say go for it. I would just say if there's any caution at all, do your homework. Once you get to a point where you think that you know everything, take a step back and talk to some people and try to find out what you don't know, and then, move from there. At every turn, there's going to be things you don't know, and even if it is your lifelong hobby, it's not your lifelong hobby on that scale. It's not your lifelong hobby. It's a 3,000-year-old science, and it's a very developed industry. So to get into it at this level is more of a challenge than we expected. Just do your homework, I guess. And good luck. I hope you make great beer, because I love to drink it.
All right, well, thank you, Nathan, for taking the time to talk with us today.
Well, thank you.
We really do appreciate it. Eventide's tasting room hours can be found on their website. Also, you can find their beer at Barley.